is a massive double standard between how the Western left talks about Israel and also how they talk about Ukraine. I remember when Russia attacked Ukraine, the left was just screaming for Ukraine to retaliate and admonishing anyone who said they shouldn't as somehow, anti-democracy. But when Hamas attacks Israel, we've heard calls for a ceasefire, we've heard calls for de-escalation. What is so different about Israel that it's not allowed to defend itself?
The difference is that it's a Jewish state. And the majority of the left is completely against the sovereignty or the independence or the self-determination of the Jewish people around the world. They reject our peoplehood. Thus, they reject the legitimacy of us having an army and us defending ourselves. You'll notice that this is the only country that is never allowed to actually win a war or finish a war. Since 1948, other than the peace with Egypt and the peace with Jordan, I believe the peace with Egypt was in 81 or 82. The peace with Jordan was in 1993, signed simultaneously with the Oslo Accords. We've never been able to have a diplomatic resolution to any of our military conflict in the last 75 years, other than the new peace treaties. So you can't expect us not to get into more conflict if there's no diplomatic resolution after some type of military exchange or some type of combat exchange. I do think that a very large core of the constant international clamoring for a ceasefire, and I noticed it as well, like they were constantly calling the Israeli response to October 7th like out of proportion. And then, the news of the hospital came out where everybody took Hamas's word for what happened without even fact checking anything on the ground. It was actually Al Jazeera that broke one of the videos that showed that Hamas was responsible, or Palestinian Islamic Jihad was responsible for the destruction of this area and the loss of what they're saying is 500 people. So I think it comes down to systemic anti-Semitism, believe it or not, that is global, that has existed for 2,500 years in various forms, who disagree with the right of the Jewish people to defend themselves.